The world's truly legendary wars do not rely on a grand clash of noble ideologies. They build incredible paths to destruction that push human stupidity to the absolute peak. When we think of elite historical conflicts, we imagine brilliant strategic campaigns fought over vast empires. But true absolute battlefield chaos belongs to the masterminds of history's most ridiculous and petty triggers. These clever and short-tempered rulers manipulated minor personal insults to lead massive frontline armies to total slaughter. Today we are counting down 10 of history's absolute dumbest and most insanely pointless wars ever fought. We will look closely at exactly how simple accidents outmaneuvered entire legions and cost thousands of lives. Before we dive in, please like and subscribe to Stickman Chronicles right now. Hitting that big subscribe button helps us bring you more high-quality history videos. Do not forget to turn on the notification bell for your daily history fix. Let us start our global countdown with number 10, which takes us to ancient Europe. Number 10 is the highly destructive and bizarre conflict of the Golden Stool in Africa. The terrifying situation unfolded when an arrogant British colonial governor marched directly into the wealthy Ashanti Empire. The British representative completely misunderstood local religious traditions and demanded to sit on the sacred Golden Stool. He did not realize that the stool was considered the literal seat of the nation's collective soul and must never touch the ground. Instead of surrendering to the insulting request, the fierce Ashanti Queen Mother organized a massive armed rebellion instantly. She led a furious frontline army of thousands of warriors to besiege the British forces inside their stone fort. The resulting months of brutal fighting cost thousands of lives and caused massive regional structural destruction. Though the British eventually retained control, they never managed to capture or sit on the sacred Golden Stool. It remains an undying global symbol of how complete cultural ignorance can trigger a massive bloody imperial war. Next up at number 9 is the breathtakingly petty conflict historically known as the War of the Stray Dog. The volatile situation erupted along the tense frontier borders between the nations of Greece and Bulgaria. A simple Greek foot soldier was relaxing at his outpost when his pet dog suddenly broke its leash and ran away. The soldier chased the dog across the borderline, completely unaware that Bulgarian sentries were watching him closely. The nervous border guards assumed an invasion was happening and shot the Greek soldier dead on the spot. The Greek government became deeply enraged and refused to accept a standard diplomatic apology from their neighbors. They ordered a massive military vanguard across the border and launched a full-scale artillery bombardment on local villages. Dozens of innocent soldiers and civilians were killed over a single day before an international council halted the advance. The entire ridiculous military campaign remains a shocking reminder of how easily border paranoia can trigger active warfare. Number 8 takes us to the maritime trade channels of Europe with the famous War of Jenkins' Ear. The geopolitical tension escalated when a Spanish Coast Guard boarding party intercepted a British merchant vessel. The Spanish captain accused the British crew of illegal smuggling and sliced off the left ear of Captain Robert Jenkins. Jenkins carefully preserved his severed pickled ear inside a glass jar of alcohol and sailed straight back to London. 7 years later, he walked directly into the British Parliament and pulled out the rotting ear to show the politicians. The British public became completely infatuated with national pride and loudly demanded immediate total vengeance against Spain. The government declared a massive naval war, deploying large fleets of warships to attack Spanish colonies in the Americas. The massive global conflict dragged on for nearly a decade and cost over 20,000 lives across the oceans. It proved that a single pickled body part, combined with absolute political greed, can spark an international bloodbath. Number 7, we look at the breathtaking and highly destructive conflict known as the Pastry War. The strange crisis began when a passionate French pastry chef complained that his small shop near Mexico City had been looted. He claimed that rowdy Mexican military officers had destroyed his business and eaten all his expensive pastries without paying. The French pastry chef demanded a massive financial compensation package that was worth far more than the entire shop. The Mexican government laughed at the ridiculous demand and refused to pay a single silver coin to the foreign baker. The French King Louis Philippe took the refusal as a direct insult to the honor of the global French Empire. He ordered a massive fleet of heavy warships to sail across the Atlantic Ocean and blockade all Mexican ports. The French Marines bombarded a massive stone fortress and launched a full-scale invasion to collect the pastry debt. Hundreds of soldiers were killed in active combat before the Mexican government was forced to pay the full baker bill. This legendary military intervention remains the ultimate historical masterclass in overextending empires for zero practical gain. Number 6 takes us to the classic medieval fields of Italy with the legendary War of the Oaken Bucket. The deep regional rivalry between the wealthy cities of Modena and Bologna had been simmering for multiple generations. One dark night, a small group of stealthy soldiers from Modena snuck directly into the center of Bologna. Instead of stealing gold or kidnapping a noble, they walked over to the public well and took a wooden bucket. They carried the basic oak bucket back to their city as a public trophy to mock their aristocratic rivals. The citizens of Bologna felt completely humiliated by the theft and demanded the immediate return of their municipal bucket. When Modena refused, the two cities mobilized massive frontline armies composed of over 30,000 foot soldiers. They clashed in a massive, bloody, pitched battle where thousands of heavily armored men slaughtered each other over the wood. Modena won the battle and kept the stolen bucket, displaying it proudly inside their main cathedral bell tower for centuries. This bizarre historical feud proves that toxic civic pride can cause nations to waste thousands of lives over literal garbage. We have reached the middle position for today, countdown of history's most pointless and absurd military conflicts. Before we reveal the top 5, please like this video and subscribe to Stickman Chronicles. Your daily support helps us spend more time researching these incredible historical survival stories. Leave a comment right below about which stupidly triggered war has shocked you the most so far on our list. Now let us jump straight to number 5 on our list of unbelievable and chaotic historical blunders. Number 5 is the tragic and completely self-inflicted disaster known as the Battle of Karansebes. The massive Austrian Imperial Army was marching through the dark countryside to launch an assault on the Ottoman Empire. The advanced cavalry scouts crossed a local river and purchased several barrels of alcohol from a group of traders. They began drinking heavily when a group of Austrian infantry soldiers arrived and demanded a share of the liquor. A violent argument broke out between the two friendly units, and a nervous soldier suddenly fired a rifle into the dark. In the pure alcoholic infusion, someone screamed out that the Ottoman Turkish cavalry was launching a surprise ambush strike. The terrified Austrian soldiers who spoke multiple different languages panicked and began firing blindly at each other in the mist. The commander ordered his own artillery units to bombard his own retreating forces, thinking they were the enemy vanguard. By the time the sun rose, the Austrian army had successfully killed over 10,000 of their own fellow soldiers. The real Ottoman army arrived days later and captured the entirely defenseless territory without losing a single man. Moving to number 4, we look at the ridiculous geopolitical escalation historically known as the Pig War. The territorial dispute took place on a small scenic island situated directly between the United States and British Canada. Both American farmers and British authorities lived on the island, but the exact borderline was completely undefined. An American farmer looked out at his garden and found a large black pig eating all his prized potatoes. The enraged farmer pulled out his rifle and shot the animal dead, completely unaware it belonged to a wealthy British official. The British authorities threatened to arrest the American farmer, which triggered an immediate massive nationalist political backlash. The U.S. military deployed an elite force of infantry soldiers to set up fortified campsites on the beaches. The British governor responded by sending 3 massive warships packed with heavy cannons to face the American lines. The two global superpowers stood on the brink of total global war for months over the death of a single farm pig. Thankfully, local commanders refused to fire the first shot, and the entire crisis ended with 0 human casualties recorded. Number 3 takes us to the vast dry landscapes of Central Asia with the self-destructive War of the Melon. A powerful regional ruler was hosting a grand diplomatic banquet for an international caravan of traveling merchants. During the feast, a heated argument broke out between a local royal guard and a merchant over the price of a fresh melon. The guard accused the traveler of disrespecting the state and struck him down in front of the entire assembly. The merchants belonged to a powerful neighboring nomadic empire that took trade safety with absolute seriousness. Their supreme ruler demanded the immediate execution of the guilty guard to maintain stable commercial relationships. The proud local king refused to hand over his soldier and executed the incoming diplomats to showcase his absolute authority. The nomadic horse archer army launched a massive full-scale invasion, completely leveling every single city in the kingdom. They destroyed ancient irrigation systems, libraries, and palaces, turning a wealthy nation into an absolute barren desert wasteland. The entire civilization was completely erased from history because a king refused to settle a petty argument over fruit. And number 2, we look at the bizarre and highly dangerous modern conflict known throughout history as the Football War. The deep economic and social tensions between the neighboring Central American nations of El Salvador and Honduras were rising. The two countries were scheduled to play a series of highly competitive soccer matches to qualify for the Global World Cup. During the intense games, violent riots broke out among the rival fans inside the crowded stadium stands. The national news media networks used the sporting chaos to broadcast aggressive political propaganda and insults nationwide. The political leaders used the public sports rage to officially break off all diplomatic relationships and mobilize troops. El Salvador launched a sudden massive aerial bombardment on Honduran airfields and moved their army across the borders. The brutal military conflict lasted for 100 hours and caused the deaths of over 3,000 regular citizens. It remains a chilling historical masterclass in how competitive sports passion can be weaponized to start a real war. Finally, we reach number 1 on our list, which takes us to the ancient classical world of Greece. Number 1 is the legendary and completely ridiculous conflict known historically as the Sacred War of the Crisson Plain. The wealthy city of Crissa began charging a heavy maritime transit tax on religious pilgrims traveling to the holy oracle of Delphi. The pilgrims complained to an international council of city-states, stating that the high fees were an absolute sin against the gods. Instead of resolving the tax dispute through standard diplomatic negotiations, the council declared a massive holy war on the city. The Allied armies marched down and besieged the fortified city for years, causing absolute starvation and misery inside the walls. The attackers cleverly harvested poisonous plants from local fields and dumped them directly into the city's main freshwater supply lines. The entire defending population developed severe physical sickness and diarrhea, leaving them completely unable to hold their weapons. The Allied forces easily stormed the open gates and completely massacred every single citizen inside the broken city center. The grand city was permanently destroyed, and the surrounding land was cursed forever over a simple tourist tax argument. These gripping narratives prove that human resourcefulness can shatter the strongest chains on Earth completely. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe to Stickman Chronicles right now. See you tomorrow as we upload high-quality history videos every single day without fail.